The sound in this video was processed by Isotope. In this video, everything you wanted to know about 2 notes lead preamp. What's the price? What's inside of the box? We'll check all the features, take some measurements, open the unit, test the bypass, check current consumption and test the power supply, listen to what it sounds like as a pedal platform and into a power amp. We'll check the built-in cabinet simulation, the effects loop, and run it into the front of the amp. We'll quickly check its MIDI abilities, and I'll show you an undocumented feature you don't want to miss. And finally, we'll check the software that comes with it. And it's all coming up right now. Hello everyone, how's it going? Here is Max, and today we're going to be looking at 2 notes lead preamp. Let's go to notes.com and take a closer look at what it is. Products, lead preamp. Here it is. Well, 2 channels, starter tube, true high voltage design. Well, we'll check that later on. Fusion modes, FX loop, speaker simulation, MIDI, headphones output, and WOS, which stands for the wall of sound. Wall of sound is generally a plugin for your software which works as a speaker simulation, because Lead doesn't have its own speaker simulation based on impulse responses. There's an analog speaker simulation inside, and for impulses we're gonna need the wall of sound. Switching and multi-channel mode. That is interesting. We will check these in details. Integrated speaker simulation, yeah, that's something I already told you about. Okay, Lead comes with 16 cabs license for wall of sound. That's true, I have already installed wall of sound and tried different cabs. Some of them sound really great, and the software is really flexible. That's basically what you get in the wall of sound coming with lead. Where to buy? 2 Note store, yeah. 299 euros or 249 tax excluded. Okay, how about Thomann? 250. That's a nice price for a 2 preamp. Okay, what about Sweetwater? It's 299. Good. How about Sound House? Yeah, I'm surprised. Okay, how much would that be? That would be 300. It's for the first time that I see something is more expensive in Japan than in Europe or in the States. So basically, I'll give you a link to Thomann in the description below. Kicking in channel B unleashes the fury of a super tight modern high gain amp. That's what I was expecting, and I'm really curious if I can get my kind of tone with this preamp. The manual. Power supply, I assume. The preamp needs 500 milliamps, but the power supply gives you 1 amp. And the unit. Alright, that was the unboxing. Let's go through the stuff here real quick. So we've got channel A and channel B, volume and gain control for channel A, 2-tone controls, treble and bass. For channel B there are 3-tone controls, and the mid control is somehow adjustable. Volume and gain as well, and the fusion knob is here to mix 2 channels together when they are in the fusion mode. Because when you press 2 foot switches at the same time, the preamp goes into the fusion mode, so 2 channels become active at the same time, simultaneously. And then you can also pick an option cold, now cold or hot, which means in the cold mode, they'll be running in parallel, just like if you were using 2 different amps at the same time, clean and distorted. And in the hot mode, they will be in series, so the output of channel A will go into the input of channel B, and channel A will work as a boost kind of thing. So on the left, we've got the power connector. It says it needs 500 milliamps, 12-volt power supply. Headphones output with speaker simulation. Speaker simulation is only routed to the headphones output and to the DI output. For DI output, there's also ground lift, MIDI output, FX loop return, and main output. On the other side, we've got the input, through, this output is linked together with input. So you can send a dry signal from here to anywhere else, maybe another preamp or another amp, or to your audio interface. This is the FX loop send. And MIDI input. Nothing on the front, nothing on the back, nothing on the bottom, just it says that it's designed in some place in France and made in China. That's it. How heavy this thing is.
All right.
That would be 910 gram or 2 pounds. This thing is kind of heavy. It's heavy and it's huge. Let's check the size. 7.5 or 19 centimeters, 5 centimeters or 2 inches. Okay, just to give you some reference about how big this thing actually is. So this is standard size pedal, standard size modern pedal, Hammond enclosure. This is a delay pedal from Spain, Barcelona, Spain, really nice one. Alright, so that would be a tube screamer. It's a little bit bigger. And this would be a sneakers size pedal. Yeah, this thing is really huge. You can probably fit maybe 3 tube screamers here. Now we're getting close to Disassembly, the part I like, and some of you I know like too. So let's get to it. Well, there's a tube inside, right? And the manufacturer mentions that the circuit runs at 200 volts. This is hard to believe. Normally our pedals work at 9, 12, 18 volts. This one needs 12 volts power supply. So where do those 200 volts come from? That's a good question. We'll find out real soon. So there must be something inside that converts 12 volts into something bigger. There's a tube there, a couple of rubber feet, I don't know what they are for, so probably to isolate the board from short circuits. 2 momentary switches and 3 boards. There's one more board there. Alright, here we go. So here's the board. A tube right here. A couple of relays. 1 relay, 2 relay, 3 relay. This looks like some evil capacitors. Yeah, for 250 volts. So those are definitely for the tube and for the high voltage circuits. 1 op amp, another op amp, another op amp. This is for the headphones, obviously, because here's the headphones output. And all these caps are 16 volts. These are 25 volts. These are 16, 16, 16, 16, 16. So no, this part of the circuit doesn't run on 200 volts at all. This is a controller, STM32. And another thing here, if you can see that, it says BACL-CRLD. This is for bass, lead, crunch, and lead, because all these preamps are based on the same board. So it's exactly the same board with a couple of different parts on it and with different jumper. So because this is lead, we have a jumper on LD right here. This is a hybrid preamp. Why? Because for lead sound, for high gain sound, we need at least 4 gain stages, I guess. And a tube has only 2, considering that we have 2 channels. For clean channel you need 2 gain stages, for lead channel you need at least 4. So 6 gain stages altogether, and you can get only 2 from the tube. So another 4 must be coming from these op amps here and there. But my first question was, where is the tube exactly in the circuit? Is it involved in the clean channel completely, or is it divided between clean channel and lead channel? I already know the answer because I have already tested it, but let's check it out. I will first of all just plug it in and play a couple of notes, and then we will remove the tube. I still cannot get used to the fact that the power connect is on the left side. This is so odd. lead channel. Good, it works. So now let's remove the tube, but it's a little bit tricky because that board there is not really solid. If you're not careful, chances are you can break it. I'm talking about that other board which is right there. Okay, now it's out. The Chinese 12AX7 tube. So the sound is going through. Let's try clean. Nothing. Lead. Nothing. So the tube works for both channels. I assume it is used actually for the very first gain stage. Yes, we're back online. One of my first questions was, why is this thing this big? Because apparently it could be like 30% smaller, or maybe even smaller than that. I don't know the answer. I wish it was smaller because then it would take less space on the pedal board. And I also wish MIDI plugs were on the back side, because that would make way more sense to me and the power connector as well. Because this way, the way it is, especially with the original power supply has a straight plug, which means if you're connecting it like that and want to put another lip preamp next to it, well, good luck with that. It won't let you do that efficiently. The same thing with MIDI connectors, because MIDI connectors are normally like that. If you plug it in, it's going to take a lot of space on the side. Although, with that being said, the DI output could also be on the back side. But, well, it is what it is. For some reason, they've decided to place it this way. Bypass. I want to know what kind of bypass this is, because when both channels are disengaged, the signal goes through, and I would like to know if it's an active bypass or passive bypass. If it's a passive bypass, is it a true bypass? So the idea is we're going to be measuring the resistance between input and output, and if it's close to 0 or 0, then it's a passive bypass or maybe true bypass. Yes, it is 0, so it's a passive bypass, probably true bypass. Good, we figured that out. What about the through output? We've checked it last time, but I'll just do it again. Same thing here. They are just linked. If I turn this on, nothing changes. Yeah. So I'm talking about these two outputs here, about the input and the through output. So they are just linked inside. It's just like having a splitter. Last time when we checked the Spring King reverb, we found out that it makes more sense to test the current consumption under load. And that's why we're going to be doing it a little bit differently today. And you know what? Unless you really know what you're doing, don't try this at home, because it may be a little bit dangerous. Well, it can be pretty dangerous. Let's turn the power on. That would be 300 milliamps when it is disengaged. A little bit more with clean channel. What about lead? 44, which means 440 milliamps. Let's give it some signal. Okay, how about now? 46. 460 milliamps. Good, so yeah, if you have 500 milliamps power supply, that should be more than enough for this preamp to run. This thing comes with a power supply. In my case, it's a UK version, 12 volts and 1 amp. My question is how noisy this one is. So as you can see, this is my setup. There are two multimeters, one on the right, one on the left. One on the right will be measuring amperage, and the smaller one will be measuring the voltage, such as we can see the voltage drop when the load is applied. Let's plug it in. It's already ready for the UK outlet. Go. And we're in. 5.6, minus 5.6. 6.7, that's really bad. You can see 12 volts, but it's really noisy without load. Now with load it's about -11, which is better, but still not really good. Let's go up to, it was 1 amp, it was rated at 1 amp. Let's go up to 1 amp and see what happens. It's really hard to hit those numbers with this knob here, because it's really sensitive. Okay, we're at 1 amp, it's about -16.3. This power supply is better than a regular Chinese power supply, but it's still pretty far from the best ones. Let's listen to the clean channel. I'll try to play a little bit with gain and volume to find out if there is any break up there, and if there is, how much. So that was the clean. Channel B. Let's see how much gain does this thing have. This preamp is ridiculously flexible. That's what I found out when I spent time with it. Because by just tweaking the knobs, these 3 knobs, these 4 knobs with this one, you can get a lot of different sounds out of it. I'll turn down the volume on my guitar to find out if it cleans up the way it's supposed to. Let's go for something evil. Let's get to the cold fusion. Right now it's hot fusion because it's red, so I'm going to the blue mode, which is a cold fusion, which means A and B channels are running in parallel. Volume of channel B will be still here on this volume knob, but this one gets disabled. It's on this knob now. So this knob is for mixing the channel A into the sound. You have distorted sound, you have clean sound at the same time. Good, let's go to the hot mode. In the hot fusion mode, the output of channel A goes into channel B, so channel A works as some kind of a boost. Let's check if it can take pedals. The new Tube Screamer, coming directly from Ibanez, because they asked me to test it and to do some stuff with it. So let's do some stuff with it. This one is really sensitive. Just turning these knobs up and down changes a lot. Yeah, one thing I didn't mention here, because we have this knob here we didn't try yet, which is the adjustment for the mid frequency. This thing alone makes the whole EQ very flexible. That's what I like about it. So now we're gonna go into the power amp. So there are a couple of different amps here. We're gonna be running into this one because this is a very good platform for pedals and stuff like that. But you can also go directly into the power amp section if you go into this input. And that's what I will try to do. And the cabinet is on the other side of the room and there is a mic in front of it. Well, that was the clean sound. Let's try some channel B. This is a 2x12 speaker cabinet with vintage 30s. Good, that was the lead preamp through the power amp and through the cabinet and through the mic. I'm using SM57 for this demonstration right now. Let's check the built-in speaker simulation. That would be interesting. So I have this XLR here, which I just pulled out of the mic, and I'll go into the DI out like this. So this is going to be with cabinet simulation, and now without. Sounds terrible, right? Without it. Okay, that was DI output. I like the way it sounds. I mean, as an emergency solution in case there's nothing else available, it's pretty useful. How about phone's output? Let's try that thing. Headphones output works just the way we expected it to work. What else do we have for today? A fixed loop, but I think it would be really better to try it with another preamp together. So here's the clean. This is a MIDI cable with all 5 pins connected inside of the cable, so they all wired, all 5 pins. That will do. Each of them has its own fixed loop. So when you switch into the other preamp, this fixed loop is disabled. And when I go back to this one must be working, but we'll check it out right now. That's how it works, yeah. As long as any of these channels is active, the fixed loop is also active. And another reason why I wanted these two to run together, because I wanted to try this lead preamp as a drive distortion pedal. The manufacturer tells us that you can not only go into the power amp out of this one, but you can also go into a combo or in front of your amp and use it as a distortion pedal. So we'll figure it out right now if it actually works. I expect it to have a lot of high end, but let's try it. Why not? So I'll have to turn this off, because otherwise I won't be able to operate them separately. I'll tell you what, it works, but it's kind of hard to control, because as I thought, there's a lot of high ends. I had to turn this one down. I had to turn this one down a bit, because otherwise it's just too harsh. The mid section is different than when it works on its own. So it's like feeding one preamp's output into another preamp. It works as an emergency, but it's kind of weird. If there was no other option but just going into the front of the combo, that would work. Let's check the MIDI. This thing is set to work as a 3-channel amp controller. So now I want to program this thing to react on my incoming MIDI messages. So I'll turn it off for now. I'll hold A and I'll plug it in. As soon as I release it, I'm in the programming mode. MIDI monitor, MIDI learn, MIDI channel, PC number, multi-channel mode, factory reset, and firmware version. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be version 6. Okay, let's go back to the programming mode. And now I want to do the MIDI learn. Turn on channel B. Good, so I just go program change 1. Nice. And let's restart and see if it works. It does work, just the way I expected. Okay, now I want program change 2 to be the hot fusion mode. Okay, now I need hot fusion mode. Yeah, this one. And I go program change 2. Now we're good. Reboot. So I can be on clean. I can go to channel B. And if I need to, I can go further to the hot fusion mode. Nice, isn't it? Good. That was part 1. So as a part 2, I want to be able to switch my cabinet IRs on this device using the same foot switches here, or maybe the same foot switches here. This would be my clean, this would be my, can you see that? 54. That would be my channel B, that would be my hot fusion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. That must be 54. Good. So now if I go to channel B, look at this. It goes to my channel B impulse. I go to channel A, it goes to my channel A impulse. I go to the fusion mode. That's 57 and that's 56. That's exactly what I wanted. It's Omni, MIDI Omni right now, but you can set it to react on any MIDI channel. Multi-channel mode. That's an interesting thing. Do you remember that situation when we had two Lee preamps together working as one system via MIDI cable? You can actually turn that functionality off, and then you will have two preamps. They will be connected with MIDI via MIDI, and they will let all the MIDI messages through, but they will not work as one system. So this is called multi-channel mode. You can turn that off. By default, it is on, which is not necessarily a bad thing. The undocumented feature. Some people, and I'm one of them, prefer to use their preamps on the table, like this, as a desktop version of an amp. And from time to time, I'm using my phone to make video calls, and there is no place to put it. But I can put my phone right here, and it's a perfect holder for my phone. Or like that. It works just fine. Look at this. The camera here, I can see the screen. I can see everything. It looks like it was just made to hold my tablet. Like that. Yeah, excellent phone holder. That's what I'm talking about. Or I can put it like that. And it still works. Or that way. Look at that. That's what I call the undocumented feature of Lee Lead. 2 notes, Lee Lead preamp. And the final thing for today is the wall of sound. We have preamp here, we have me here. And we have the wall of sound right here. Now there are 2 channels and they are linked. There must be a link switch here. So now just in mono mode. I have my cabinets here. A lot of cabinets here already, but let me try a couple of different things. For example, I really like the sound. I mean, this thing together with the wall of sound makes it a very flexible ultimate tool. That's a really good option to have, and then let's go to the simulation mode. So basically this is the power amp section, which is now off. You can turn it on, you can pick another tube type for the power amp section. This is the biking section, and then there's a EQ section, exciter, compression, the reverb with all those different rooms. So you can run more impulses at the same time. So this is the second impulse, and then you can add more and more and more to it. Lots of different mics, lots of different settings. As I said, this thing is crazy. We just barely scratched the surface. Anyway, it's time for a recap, and if you've made it this far, don't forget to mention a furious unicorn in the comments. So we've got a dual channel preamp with lots of outputs and nice, tasty extras. A power supply is included, and it provides twice as much power as Lee Lead needs, so you can daisy chain another pedal or two if you have any 12-volt pedals. The lead is ridiculously flexible. Independent EQ, FX loop, MIDI, Cabsim, DI and phones output, and if your amp doesn't have a power amp input, you can run the lead right into the front of the amp. But probably one of the most valuable features is the wall of sound software that comes with it. And don't forget that at the moment, the preamps are the cheapest tube preamps on the market. Speaking of cons, well, it's big and heavy. Some people may be unhappy with it being a hybrid circuit, not a full tube circuit, although I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be able to hear any difference. Finally, additionally to its huge size, XLR and MIDI outputs are placed on the sides, so the connectors will require additional space on your pedal board.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that subscribe button right there, and don't forget about the bell button to get notifications every time I'm posting a new video. A special thanks goes to people in the list below. Those are my patrons. If you want to say thanks, hit the button on the left and join the list. Well, that's it for now. Have a good day and I'll see you soon.